Welcome to the Get Tailored podcast. Join us as we explore insightful conversations on professional organizing, tackling both internal and external chaos, and discovering the transformative power of clarity and purpose in every aspect of life. If you're loving what you hear, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our channel. Hey there, this is Nicole Taylor with Get Tailored Podcast. I'm your host. Thanks for joining us again. I'm really excited to be here and be able to present you with some really good content. So I would like to welcome my next guest, Phaedra Earhart, with All About You Placement and Senior Resources. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
today.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I hope I did that right. So your business is called All About You Placement and Senior Resources.
That's right.
That's
correct? Right. Yes.
Awesome. So before we dive into what that is, how did you get started, and kind of explain to my audience a little bit about what is senior placement resources?
Okay. So I actually volunteered in the dementia world for a while on a board of Oakwood Creative Care. And I'd been doing that for a couple years and really in the business development world. But I knew Carrie Ann, who's the owner of our company.
Okay.
And I also knew Sandy, who's the operations director. So just from out and about. And then one day they randomly texted me when I was at work and I wasn't having a great day. So they texted me and asked, they said, we'd just love for you to come work for us. And I thought that would be really cool to combine my passion for what I was doing volunteer-wise, and actually also make money at something that I really love. And so I thought, I talked with my husband about it, and I was like, this just seems like everything is leading me towards this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so to answer your other question, All About You Placement and Senior Resources, we are a placement service, but we're also senior resources. So we understand that families usually want to stay at home as long as possible, and we're here for that as well. So if they need any kind of senior resources, we are a free service to families. We do not charge families, even if it's just resources.
Yeah.
So, and we'll try everything we can to get them to stay at home safely. And but once it's not safe or once it becomes too costly, then that's when we start looking at moving.
Doing the transitions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So so you got into this just by volunteering. It sounds like you have a passion for the elderly, and it sounds like that's kind of been in your scope of work maybe for some time.
Yeah, I think it's about just being of service is what it's been. Mm-hmm. So I love being of service, and I think that's where I landed. I had a good friend of mine, Shannon Hines. Actually, she's gotten me involved in lots of things, but she guided me towards Oakwood. And I think seniors are discarded in our society. And looking at really Oakwood, any type of grant for seniors, they don't seniors only get 1% of all the grants out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just not enough for them, and everyone's gonna age. Yeah. And I want a society where we hold our seniors up, and we lift them up. So,
and I think like your line of work and similar to my line of work, we see it firsthand. Yeah. What they're going through and the major transitions, especially from we were just speaking right before the podcast about like a large family home, having to leave that and most of their stuff behind and move into a very small, hopefully comfortable, but a smaller landscape, if you will, for their stuff. So the transitions, I got into this stuff myself by default. I felt like I just kind of fell into it. People would just be like, oh, yeah, I have so-and-so, and they're senior. And so before you know it, it's like I'm providing to the senior community without trying, I guess. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they would just
all roads led you here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, meeting you several months back and having our first initial conversation, about kind of what you do, and kind of similarly to how we want to help them transition, especially when they're in a position where they're forced.
Well, it's overwhelming too to think about going from this humongous, maybe 2,500, 3,000 square foot home with all of their things that they have. You accumulate so much stuff, and then moving into maybe a 500 square foot place or 1,000. It's kind of in between there. And the realization, though, is you don't need all that stuff.
True.
Really, like I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
And the community is the home. It's just a bigger version of their home, and the entire space of the community now becomes their home. So really, the apartment is just where they're sleeping and changing and having alone time.
Yeah.
But everywhere else, it's all community space.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of. I even think about my future and be like, I'm a community-oriented person, very social. I could not live alone. I would prefer not to. I would prefer to live in a community of people that I can gather with on a regular basis and have communion, right?
Yes.
With them, and not feel like I'm in a big house by myself,
yes.
have my own thoughts to deal with, right?
Socialization.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Incredibly important for the brain. So to keep
100%.
social. And that is really one of the worst things you can do for yourself is isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the factors that you prioritize to ensure that seniors are placed well? What are the things that you try to find in their situation that would be like, they would fit well over here versus over there?
So it really it starts with a conversation, because there's truly no roadmap to what we do. It's not if this happens, then you do this.
Right.
If this happens, then you do this. It's not like that, because we're looking at the whole person. So it really is, everyone's so individual on their needs. Yeah. So it starts with their care, and where are they going to get the best care and feel safe and feel loved.
Yeah.
That's super important as well. So those are the most important things. And then everything else falls after that. Of course, personality. Where are they going to fit in? What kind of activities do they like to do? Area of town is important too. Are they going to need to be close to family members?
Thinking about location.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously price, it can get very pricey in senior living,
100%.
especially when you start adding on a ton of care. So is it really a community that's going to be a good fit for care, or is it going to be a group home? And it really depends on that level.
So can you explain the difference between a group home versus another community?
Sure. So communities are they're senior living. You see them all over the valley. And they range from independent living, assisted living, and then memory care, which is a secure environment.
And is that based on kind of the individual physicality at the moment, where they?
Yeah, it depends on their needs.
Okay.
So maybe I would say independent living is truly independent. You're there for the socialization, for the activities, and really not to take care of a home anymore. All of the things that you're taking care of at your house are gone now.
Yeah.
And you're getting fed, and it's just a fun environment. Now, assisted living is still a fun environment, but now you're an assisted where you need maybe help with some showering, or maybe you need help to places, getting to the restaurants and things like that, or medication management. So it's just, you're still able to guide your day. You're still able to say, this is what I'm going to do today, but you're just getting some assistance. Now, when you're not able to guide your day anymore, that's when you might think about memory care. So it's because you're not able to either see danger, maybe you're wanting to leave and not be able to come back.
Right.
So that's a scary thing. So that's why it's a secure environment. And then group homes you asked about, they're a home in a neighborhood, and they're licensed.
Cool.
Yeah, they're licensed, directed care licensing.
So it's just a normal house in a neighborhood, smaller, probably way less people.
Yes,
I'm assuming
5 to 10 usually.
Okay.
And it really is an environment where I like a group home for when the care needs are very high. Number one, there's less residents to caregivers.
Okay.
So you're going to have a higher ratio of caregivers there. You're going to hear things in the home. If I have a fall in a home, I could maybe hear the fall, but I can also hear someone maybe yelling in it. But whereas you're in your own apartment, you're not going to be heard unless you're pushing that button.
Right.
And then also I like homes because they're one price. They're not levels. And so there's no surprise. Here's another level of care, especially when your care needs are so high that you're going to be at the tippy top of care at a community and it gets very pricey. So it really just, it depends on needs.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Now, when the families get involved, when they have an elderly parent that's like maybe even going into dementia or some like, gray area of mental capacity, do you ever find that there's some pushback from elderly or from the children of the parents that say they may not want them to move into a certain, they might have certain restrictions or whatever they try to place on their parents? Do you find that there's pushback in any type of...
I see it the other way around. Usually it's the kids that are really wanting their parents to be safer and wanting them to move in.
Oh, so they're pushing them towards that
but
direction.
It's the parents who are, don't want to leave home, which I get. I mean, you don't want to lose that independence, but you're truly not losing independence when you're moving into assisted living. You come and go as you please,
Right.
But I do see it the other way around. And especially with dementia, someone does not want to leave the environment they know because it's scary. Change is always scary with dementia. Yeah. And there's definitely an adjustment period.
Yeah, I could see there could be a struggle if, I could just see like myself being very, independent, physically doing my own thing. And then all of a sudden I, fall and break a knee or whatever. And now I have to have surgery and then I'm not as capable as I was. I can imagine like, it takes one fall. Like it takes one big, accident and their life is completely like changed.
It can change.
Right?
And that's something to just even have that conversation about. I'm actually working with someone right now who's, they broke their leg. She's living alone. And I had a talk with her, like, what do you see yourself doing? And I presented options. And that's what we want to make sure there are options out there. It's not just one way to do things.
Sure.
So we're just talking about maybe if we try to bring her home, she'll need help. She'll need, physical therapy brought into the home to continue her healing. She'll need in-home care because she can't do the things that she used to while she's healing.
Sure.
And then there's, I talked about assisted living, and she really is leaning towards, maybe it's time I get out of that house.
Yeah.
And so it's that conversation. And when you say, especially the question about the kids, family dynamics are a real thing. And not everybody agrees on what should happen and how it should happen. Yeah. So it's nice to have me come in and be that kind of outsider where my emotions are not involved at all. And I'm just looking at the whole picture.
Well, yeah, and then you're able to kind of facilitate those conversations a little bit more, I guess, with more concrete information versus trying to juggle something that you don't fully have an understanding on, and trying to figure out, well, what is the best option here? And so I can imagine you coming in and just being like, listen, laying it out on the table. These are what the options are, and I'm sure you probably bring forth some of your own recommendations based on their personal circumstance.
Absolutely.
Is that typically how it works? Almost like you're a guide. You're almost guiding them to, okay, this might be the best option because of X, Y, and Z.
Yes. And I think to also not overwhelm someone. So if we're really looking at moving, then I really try to narrow it down based on everything we talked about, the care needs to the personality, to the budget, to area of town. And then we really hone in on probably no more than 4, I would say, places, because then they start to blend together and it gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I'm there to guide, like you said. I am not there to say this is how you do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about what you provide. So I know that you come in and you provide them options of where they could potentially move to, and and I'm sure you have these extensive conversations with the family members, and you sit down with everybody and make sure everyone's on the same page, because I think that's important. Like you said, family dynamics are very up and down. But like, what other things alongside that do you provide when it comes to placement?
Well, there's a variety of things we can help with. And we have a lot of very trusted, well-vetted resource partners such as yourself,
yes,
that I bring in situations, and the fact that we were just talking about maybe bringing you into a family I'm working with now, to help them decide how to downsize and what that looks like. They just need some guidance, and they can't physically do it either.
Right. Yeah. I mean, tying that into the type of work that I provide and do is that's probably one of the biggest struggles is they're just not physically capable anymore. And they, it does take some major things for them to wake up and realize they need to move, like a fall or something, their health goes downhill. And so wakes them up to make sure that they realize, like, okay, we need better for ourselves.
Exactly.
And I do love the idea that I could come in and relieve some stress, because moving, no matter what age you are, it sucks. It's
moving's
daunting.
It's the worst. Yes.
Yeah, especially if you have like years and years of a house full of stuff. 100%. Right? And
I've been in my house 20 years now, and the thought of like moving is it's such a chore. And so I can imagine, I mean, I'm in my 50s, but I look at my parents who moved a few years ago, like to another state. Right. And it was so hard on them. And they had a huge recovery period too. So bringing in professionals like yourself, knowing like there are really great moving companies out there, they do exist. Bringing in our other resource partners, like maybe it's physical therapy, maybe it's in-home care to get through with some things. Sure. And then just I think also our owner is a certified senior advocate through the state. Okay. So just showing families how to advocate for their loved one too, especially if they landed in the hospital or a rehab. I would say rehabs are not so great places, and we have a family resource sheet of how to advocate for your loved one in a rehab. Yeah. And even if families just send me a list, I will tell them which ones to go to and which ones not to. And then helping with the actual, logistics of a move is something we do too.
Yeah, I've worked with a few placement agents before. I call you agents. I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah. Placement agents. I say agent. Yeah. Before, and the one thing that I love is the correspondence between my services and theirs, and kind of how we kind of overlap as far as a full coverage of service. Does that make sense? Yes. Like, you may not be the person who physically packs boxes, but you could find my resource to do that. And then as far as combining our schedules together, like, okay, deadline is this day, everything needs to be packed. Yes. Right? And so
it's figuring it out. Yeah. And maybe we bring in professionals like from different areas to figure it out all together.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Now let's go back real quick to your pricing. So you said earlier, I wanted to touch base a little bit further on this, that families don't have to pay out of pocket for the service, the placement. So explain to me kind of how is it that they're getting it for free?
So we are paid through the community or the group home. Okay. So that's how we collect money. So it's only through placement that we're paid. So if there's no placement, and quite honestly, over half of my clients probably will never move. Okay. And that is totally fine, because I do feel like it all comes back to us, like the good that we're doing. Absolutely. And I'm happy to provide all the trusted, like well-vetted resources that I can. Sure. We have a sister company that is an in-home care company. So our owner and our operations director both own that company together, called Seniors Helping Seniors East Valley. Okay. And that is one of my trusted resources as well. That's awesome. And they have 2-hour minimums, which is very unusual in the world of in-home care. Sure. But they often provide a kind of a gap that we're needing to fill. Sure. Even if someone moves into an independent community, they're not quite ready for assisted living. Yeah. But independent living is obviously less expensive. Right. Than assisted. Sure. And maybe they just need help with a shower, 3 times a week. And so let's bring in some in-home care and not have to pay those assisted living prices. But you're still getting community, you're still having a safe environment, and you still have that pendant you can press if something happens, and you're not alone in your home. Absolutely. So, yes. So, again, we're paid by the community, but I am not beholden to any community or any group home. It really, truly matters where the care is going to be the best for them and where they feel like that sense of belonging as well. Because honestly, everybody wants to work with us, communities and group homes.
I was going to say, what is the relationship like between you and other communities? Like, and how did you establish those relationships?
Well, just touring, and kind of getting our feet on the ground.
Yeah.
We keep our ear to the ground of what's happening in communities, because management can change and it can totally change the vibe of a community. It could be better, it could be worse.
Right.
So we listen to our clients and kind of what's going on, because we keep in touch with our clients too.
That's good.
Just to make sure everything's good.
Yep.
Yep. And with group homes, they're different because there's so many of them. And so we first look on the Department of Health website to see what their citations look like. And then if they look good, like they're minimal and they're not severe, then we're going to go lay eyes on it. So one of my team members or myself is going to visit the home without any clients and actually give it an internal rating for ourselves. So when so it's nice once we've given a lot of these homes, we've toured tons of homes. And when I'm looking in a certain area, I'm looking for homes we've toured because I want to know that it's a good rating for us.
Exactly.
So I'm looking for 4 and 5 stars when I'm building a list for a client. So
that's cool. So like, have you ever found yourself like finding a client who needs a specific home in a certain area, but you don't have any resources for that? So
Correct.
You have to go and find.
Yes.
And then you have to go vet them, essentially, right?
Yes. So sometimes, yes, you're right. Like there's certain areas that maybe we just don't have a lot of resources or we have just not toured that area very much. So yes, I've gone out and we've scheduled a time with a client. So in the meantime, I have to go and I toured about 5 homes in that area to see if I could tour any of them with my client. So yes, it's quite a bit of work, but at least I'm getting more homes building that list for our own company too.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. What are some other things that if a family or a senior couple or a senior individual is maybe more being proactive in their future, like, okay, at some point I might need help. Where could they find you? Like if they're looking, I know I'm putting in the newspaper because that's where seniors look for news or their resources.
So where they can find our company?
Yeah. Like where would they go look?
We're it's www.AAYSS. So all about you, senior resource, seniors. Gotcha. Actually, I don't know what the last S stands for, but it's www.AAYSS. But we're all about you. If you just Google all about you, senior resources or senior placement, you're going to find us. We're all over social media. They can obviously reach out to me individually too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so we laid the groundwork, Carrie Ann did, just by being a resource for others in the community. And she has such a huge heart. She gives back all the time. Yeah. And that is one of the reasons I love working for her too, because of her heart.
Yeah. I love that. All right. Well, I will keep you on my radar too whenever I run across people who might need your services. But thank you so much for joining me, Phaedra. I really appreciate you. And
thank you.
We'll keep in touch. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, this is Get Tailored Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Taylor. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you next time. If you're loving what you've heard today, be sure to hit the subscribe button, give us a like, and share this episode with your friends. We're here to bring you more valuable tips and inspiring stories, and we would love for you to be a part of our journey. Your support means the world to us. Let's keep the conversation going.